Hey guys, so as the title will suggest, I will be ranking shots, different shots in badminton, with a singles mindset for this video. It's a video topic I haven't seen before. I thought it'd be interesting. I'm a bit jet lagged coming back from Korea. I'm in the States at the moment and figured that would be a good time to try and do this kind of video when I have some downtime. So let's get started. I guess before we do, I want to explain the tiers. So we have S tier, so this would be a shot that is like efficient, and the way I'm thinking of efficient is I'm thinking of it in terms of energy expenditure. So like if I'm using less energy than it takes for the opponent to reply to it, I would consider it an efficient shot. So like a clear or a lift, those kind of things, I would consider efficient. Effective, meaning it has movement pressure on the opponent basically, and is like a tactically choice decision. That would be S tier for me. A would be one of those two. B would be a situational S tier. So like if it's like, for example, like a shot that isn't always an S tier, but in certain situations is efficient and effective, I would put in B tier. C would just be one of those two, and then D, I'm considering tactically unsound shots. So first, these pictures are like not good. So bear with me as I try and decipher these cutoffs. Why are they like in portrait? Like they're chopped up and down. Hang on. Can I change that? Yeah, I can. Landscape. Okay, that's much better. Okay, so let's start with here. So it looks like we have a backhand drop. I would consider that what would I consider that? I'd probably say A tier. Actually, no, that's a lie. I think I'm also thinking of this in terms of like you're playing these with good quality. So the reason why I put it in S tier is because taking a shot on your backhand uses a lot less energy than doing around the head. Granted, you're not going to have any offensive potential, but for defensive playstyles, having a good backhand drop, straight and cross, is essential. I think of players like Chen Long, for example, who has a relatively slow playstyle for men's singles, and he almost exclusively uses the backhand drop from the videos I've watched. And it's, I think, a tactical choice for him. Like, he is a bit more committed to locking down the front court, so he's not able to get to these around the head shots as often as other players that are a bit more offensive, but it works for him, and it's just a different playstyle. So, and even if you're not Chen Long, like having a good backhand helps single players save energy and helps you get out of sticky situations as well. So I would call this S tier. Backhand smash, I'm honestly going to put in situationally S tier. For the same reasons. I think the only real times you're going to want to play a backhand is when the opponent is already under pressure. A backhand smash, sorry. So I think of like times where like Li Zhao will push the shot to opponent's deep forehand corner, and the guy or the opponent will just like whip it. I don't know what the actual word is, but like instead of playing a neutral shot to the front court, he hits it as hard as he can to the forehand rear court, or the around the head corner of Li Zhao, and he'll just jump up, pirouette, and backhand smash. I think that's a situationally S tier shot in that case. Or like I believe there was a rally with Victor Axelsen and someone. There was a net rally going on. Victor Axelsen can place like a good spinning net shot. The opponent lifts it, but it's short, and instead of like running behind it, Victor Axelsen just kind of like runs and backhand smashes and gets the point. So I think in those cases, it's situationally S tier. In any other situation, when you're under pressure, playing a backhand is a risky gamble. So it gets B tier as best for me. So next we have drop shots. And as you know, those are S tier. They're a great building shot. They don't require much energy from you. You can play them from slightly compromised positions where you can't necessarily play a smash with good quality and you maintain the attack. They're just overall just an essential shot in badminton. you just have to have a good drop shot, particularly in singles, but in all disciplines. Next, we have a full smash. I'm going to call this effective. I wouldn't say it's efficient simply because if you think about all the things that need to line up for you to even have a full smash, right? So you need to play a rally, and you need to compromise opponent's movement. And then typically what happens in a men's singles rally, I'm thinking top level here, is someone gets a good spinning net shot, someone lifts it, the opponent lifts it, and then you have to run back and get in position and smash. So there's a lot of things going on there, right? So first you have to force like a tight net rally. Then you have to play a spinning net shot with good quality, and then you have to get behind the lift and then jump and full smash. So it's just a lot of commitment. And then if they get it back, then you've basically just not wasted energy, but you've expended a lot of energy, and you haven't gotten a point. So with that being said, at the top level, like, it's a necessary weapon because everyone's footwork is so good that the tiring out play style, it's just really hard to do unless you're someone with insane stamina. So I'm going to call this an effective shot. I wouldn't say it's energy efficient. Next on, we have the half smash, and I would call this S tier. Reason why is because you can play this shot in a lot more situations, and you don't have to be in as prepped for it. So because it's literally just holding your hand up and using forearm rotation basically. So, but it still puts a lot of movement pressure on the opponent. It has a steep angle. It's still a deadly shot. And if lifts are short or you just have crazy accuracy, even at the top level, half smashes are just no joke. The high serve. Maybe I should distinguish between men's singles and women's singles. I'm going to call this A tier. The reason why I would say it's A tier, I think, in terms of even women's singles, is because it's an effective shot, but giving away the attack is basically what you're doing here is you're min-maxing, right? You're literally, your offensive potential here in this situation is 0 because you've given a high lift. But your defensive potential is 100. So it's literally a min-max option here. But when you're on defense, and especially when you give a shot that high and the opponent's prepped, they can really attack anywhere, right? Of course, you can, on the other hand, defend everywhere, but having that mental vigilance and physical prowess to defend all four corners makes this I would argue, a hard shot, especially if you're playing against someone that actually knows how to play angles. So I call it A tier. I don't know if that made sense. In my mind, it's let me try to reiterate, then I'll move on. It's effective because you are min-maxing, but it's not energy efficient because you're having to actually defend. And because also there's the tactical choice of giving away the attack. In men's singles, this is more prominent than women's singles, and that's just simply because, women, when they're sparring, they can play against men, and they can get accustomed to a higher pace and more pressure, but men, when they're training, they can only either play against men or a 2v1, so they're used to that pace. So this is a lift from, looks like, S tier. I love fast lifts particularly, but lifts of good quality of either height or all heights are amazing for a lot of reasons, right? So they're the most common serve return for a reason. They have movement pressure on the enemy, and you're in a relatively good base position after playing the shot to get the return. And it gives you time to prep, and again, it's energy efficient because for you it's maybe one step to get the short shot or a net shot, but for them it's 2 or 3 steps, and then if they want to be threatening, then they have to commit to a half or a full smash and then also get a return. So there's a reason why in singles like pro players like really aim for lines, and like why draft is such a big deal, because like the length of the lift is just so important. Okay, so now we have, I'm gonna call this one the long net, even though this image is not accurate. A long net would be like here. I'm gonna call this one over here the spinning net. But yeah, the long net, what would I call it? Efficient. Yeah, I would say this is S tier as well. The reason why I say it's S tier is because you can play it from a lot more situations. You don't have to take it right at the net, right at net height for it to be an effective shot, and you can take it a bit farther away. And if having a good long net really just takes away options from your opponent. One, it forces them to either play an amazing shot and under game pressure, under like a realistic situation, just isn't going to happen. So really their only real options are either to play a long net back, which you're in position to get, or to lift it back, which then gives you the attack. And because like you can play it from a little bit further back, you can take the shots later. You can take from a lower height. It doesn't take as much initial energy commitment from you to play an effective shot compared to a spinning hairpin. So that's why I give it S tier. Am I doing too many of these S tier? I don't know. Low serve, again, S tier. A perfect low serve in all disciplines is sought after for good reason. One, it's the only shot in the game where you're perfectly prepared. So if there's any time you can be consistently perfect, it's here. And so that will dictate the pace and, like, you know, give you an advantage or a disadvantage if you suck right off the bat, right? Assuming it's a good quality low serve, they can't put any offensive pressure on you, and the only real things that they can do is play a neutral shot back or a defensive shot like a lift or something like that. So that's why I would call it S tier, because it's energy efficient and it's an effective shot. The neutral or late shots I would call situationally S tier for obvious reasons. Depending on how you interpret a situationally S tier shot, the way I'm looking at it is that you're not going to play a late forehand or late backhand shot all the time, assuming that you take these shots early. But this is kind of a cop-out, but when you are in these situations, this is really the only shot that you can really play. And again, the reason why it's energy efficient is because taking a shot later is always easier than taking it early. So you can be a little bit slower, or you can just be a little bit lazier and not jump. And then having good quality neutralization shots is also essential as well, for a more defensive playstyle, or if you're just in a sticky situation. The flick serve, I'm gonna call it C tier actually. That might be a bit controversial, but if you look at my rankings, it is a situational shot, and I think it's a situationally effective shot. I think the energy efficiency thing is moot here, simply because you're just standing still during a serve. So you're really banking on catching them by surprise. So it, again, situational thing, reading your opponent. Are they attacking the low serve? Like, is their body language showing that they're overcommitted? So I would put a C tier. There's plenty of players, even at the highest level, that seldom flick serve, and they go on to win championships. So here we have spinning net. Again, this would be A tier, simply because you typically play these shots in two situations most of the time, right? You will play this shot as a service return. So in that case, it would be in that case I would argue it's S tier, simply because it's just one step forward and it's a hard shot to reply to. But in other situations, like so right after a smash or right after any time that you're able to get a short and predictable reply from the opponent, I would call it A tier, simply because if you think about it, like, what are the times in a game where the opponent is going to play a predictable straight soft shot? It's going to be after you've already applied movement pressure to them. So after a half smash or a full smash, usually the shots will be a straight reply back. But to get into a situation where you can smash, you have to expend a lot of energy. You have to expend a lot of energy on the actual smash itself, and then you have to expend a lot of energy running up to the shuttle and being able to take it at a high enough height where playing a spinning net would be effective. And then you have the technical ability, or you have the technical, I don't know what's the word, the technical opportunity cost. Like you have to take that risk of, you know, playing the spinning shot and hoping it goes over and it's of good quality. So there's a lot of factors that go into actually, you know, making the situation and being able to execute that opportunity. And for those reasons, I think this is an effective shot and not an efficient shot. Punch clear. I would say S tier. Same reasons as why the regular clear would also be S tier. I don't know if I have a picture for that. Yeah, I do. So let's just put it there. Wow. Where am I? Wow, the jet lag is hitting. But so yeah, let's talk about the attack clear first, and then I'll talk about like just a regular high clear or even a high clear later. The reason why, again, it's efficient and effective is because, particularly with an attack clear, you're putting a lot of movement pressure on your opponent, and you're not really giving up that much for you. Like, if you play an attack clear, it's, you know, you're relatively balanced, and you're relatively ready for the next shot. If the opponent is able to get behind the shot quick enough and play something offensive. Typically, they're not. Typically, you're going to be putting them under a lot of movement pressure while relatively spending not that much energy yourself. And, you know, I love those kind of shots. So, punch clears, attack clears, way to go. Regular clear, also, again, S tier. Again, like, there's a reason why athletes or like badminton players at the highest level like will always take account of the drift, and I think that's one of like the highest, or that's one of the things that separates like a club player from someone that's competitive, is someone that's like able to adjust to court conditions and able to take in like small variables to kind of like maximize the length they can get, because like a clear, if it's like really good, just like a lift, it's really hard to do something with it, right? If it's like really to these corners, it's a lot of movement pressure to just even get to the shot, and then it's even more movement pressure to try and get behind it. Like if you really did play a clear like on the line, you have to move outside of court to get behind the shot, if you think about it. And like from that distance, like your smash is going to be like, you know, it's not going to be that threatening. You're going to have to really play something with like amazing shot quality to threaten. So, and typically opponents will just play a drop or play something like a clear back. So it's like it's just underrated, or it's just, I think at the lower levels, the clear and lifts are just not they're just not appreciated as much as they should be. And they just scale so well. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm rambling, but like for those reasons, like putting movement pressure on your opponent while maintaining a relatively good base position for yourself. And also, like if you're under pressure yourself, like if someone does an attack clear on you and you're like catching it like this off guard, you can still play a relatively good quality clear shot. Like this is your get out of jail free card. So like there's a lot of reasons why I think clears are S tier. So now we have the two different slices. We have a reverse slice, and then we have a regular slice. I know this one says reverse slice drop shot, but we're gonna call this like a regular slice. I would call the reverse slice, not just the cross, the straight reverse slice as well. I would call them situationally S tier, and then I would call the regular slice A tier. And the reason why I rank the regular slice, so like a forehand slice, better than the reverse slice, is because I think assuming that you're a right hand player and your opponent is also a right hand, if you play a regular slice shot from your forehand to their forehand, it's going to be a lot harder for them to get to that shot than it is for them to get to a straight slice shot. Typically, it's harder for people to get to a fast drop shot on their forehand side than their backhand side. I'm not sure the physical, human body reason why. But you even see this at the top level, like a good slice shot to that forehand corner really just throws people off guard. And it's just really physically a hard shot to get to. It's harder, in my mind, than a reverse slice. I think there's a reason why reverse slices, especially straight reverse slices, are not played that much, and it's simply because it's like a flick serve. You're really banking on surprise more than anything, because even like a good reverse straight slice is relatively a quite slow shot, and it's a lot more technically difficult than playing a straight regular slice, in my opinion. So it's just a very tactically hard shot to play, and that's why I would rank it B tier and the regular slice A tier. So there are like a few images that didn't load, that and there's just a few things that we could talk about as well here. So like for example, a backhand clear, that image did not load here for some reason. I would call a backhand clear I would call the backhand cross clear tactically unsound. I think you should never do that, especially at the highest levels. At lower levels, it can work simply because someone can underestimate you and just rule it out completely, and then you can get away with it then. But like at higher levels, it's just like it's just really hard to get a backhand cross clear from like your tram lines to their tram lines, especially cross, even at the pro level. So it's just like, it's not a tactically sound decision, because you're opening up the court, you're under pressure, and if your backhand cross court clear is not all the way back to the line, then you're just adding more pressure to it. So I would call the backhand cross clear tactically unsound. Anything else? I think deception would fall under the situationally S tier, simply because you're usually playing shots that you normally would play, and then you're either just doing a variation, whether that's your timing or if you're doing some other body movements. What you get out of it is very desirable. Like, assuming you have the technical prowess to play these deception shots, you're not really expending that much more energy, but you are usually adding a lot more movement pressure. So that's why I would rank it B tier. Granted, this tier list does not take into effect like technical risk, so deceptions would have that like opportunity cost of technical risk, simply because you need to have like the vision, or like Peter Gate always says, like you need to be brave enough to hold the shuttle and wait until the last moment, which at like top level, when consistency is everything, can be very scary and sometimes be the difference between losing and winning. So that's why I would put it essentially S tier. Any other shots that I haven't mentioned? I don't think the drive. I don't think that my picture of my drive loaded up. I would call the drive. What would I call the drive? I would call it A tier. I would call it an efficient shot. Assuming you're in a good position, and like, I'm also going to consider like straight hold and flicks as a drive, or like a push. Assuming you're in a good position and you have the foresight to read, they do put a tremendous amount of movement pressure on your opponents, but you're also taking the tactical risk of, if they get it back, their shot's going to be fast. So like, you better be ready to play and commit to a fast and flat game. So I would call it A tier for efficient, and then sometimes effective. Anything else? I don't know. I think that was a pretty exhaustive list of all the different shots in badminton. If there were any that I missed, please let me know. And I will like do this and do it better for doubles or mixed doubles. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this format. I thought it would be a lot of fun to kind of just talk and give my opinion on different shots in badminton. But yeah, if you guys like this, let me know what you want to see next, and like and subscribe.